had in store for us? Because we had some really funky weather like the last week and a half, did we not?
Tropical systems in our area. One became Tropical Storm Choi Wan, and the other one, not so much. And I'm going to talk specifically about that one because we're looking at some potential for heavy weather over the Memorial Day weekend for us in Guam and Sinai, and also those across Yap and Chuk states. Luckily, that one did not materialize quite as some of the models were expecting, and it became weaker and weaker, but still generated a lot of weather, including showers and thunderstorms across the Mariana Islands. But what did we have out there this morning? So before we go to the slides, let me show you what's out there on the satellite. This is the infrared satellite, which gives us a good continuous shot from over the equator in our region, showing us that stuff during the daytime and nighttime. So we're just seeing a little bit of clouds and stuff moving over the islands. But now that it's daytime, we do have some visible satellite coming through. And this is what we're looking at across Guam and the Sinai. We have some remaining showers related to that tropical disturbance that's now southwest of us near the main island of Yap. We have this cluster of showers moving inbound towards Rota and the Rota Channel area, but it's going to pass just south of Tinian and Saipan, but still with some spotty showers inbound to Saipan and Tinian, and then also for Guam. This will gradually cure out by the afternoon, evening hours with a drier week ahead. But where is that tropical disturbance? Well, that's down here near Yap. We have a large cluster of showers and thunderstorms dumping torrential rainfall, mainly out in the open ocean, but also bringing some showers and thunderstorms to Ulithi and Feist, and soon to Yap as it's moving out into the Philippine Sea. Will it redevelop in the coming week? That's a possibility. Right now, it's rated sub-low for development by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, but it could still regenerate a better low-level circulation and maybe gain a little bit better shape and intensity in the coming days.
Yeah,
but
hey, Landon, quick question for the uninitiated,
yes.
right? When you say torrential rainstorms and everything like that, because I noticed like when I was on break, I mean, it was a perfect time to go out and take pictures, but we didn't have like the sun showers like out here. We would have like heavy rain or light rain and just like overcast and clouds like throughout. When you say torrential showers and everything like that, are we talking like moody and dark skies all day?
Torrential, it's mainly the intensity. So you can get anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain or more in a very short period of time, like an hour or less. So yeah, this is the type of weather we can get with like tropical systems, even disturbances. So when we talk about impacts from weak disturbances, they're weak in terms of wind speed, but they can still dump a tremendous amount of rainfall in a short period of time. So if we have this disturbance moving over Guam and the CNMI, even though the winds are light with gusty winds from time to time, that rainfall can cause significant problems like flash flooding and stuff, particularly in the southern mountains of Guam and along the rivers and creeks. So it doesn't have to be a tropical storm. It doesn't have to have a name or be a typhoon to cause problems. A weak disturbance can cause some significant issues for folks under the gun. Now, farther west, that's our tropical storm Choi Wan, and it's struggling to maintain intensity right now. Yesterday, it was forecast to become a typhoon in the coming days. That has since changed. We can see that low-level circulation peaking out just north of the deep convection. That's being sheared in the upper levels of the atmosphere by strong winds pushing that convection toward the southwest. That's going to mitigate the development of Choi Wan in the near term, and it may help it reach its demise in the not too distant future. So that's what we're looking at. Otherwise, for the week ahead, a dry trade wind pattern. So go ahead and cue up the slides, Jason, and we'll talk about what we're going to be looking at. The main hazard we have in the region right now is the high risk of rip currents in place across Guam and the CNMI. That's going to continue through this afternoon, but a seasoned surf fall as this disturbance pushes away. That rip risk will decrease as well. The next slide showing the current conditions. Temperatures are climbing as we go through the day. We only had a 1/4 inch of rain yesterday here at the weather office. That was below what we were saying was possible late last week. We were looking at the possibility of 2 to 4 inches, and by some standards, that was very conservative or a low biased amount for an inbound tropical disturbance. But as we see, that thing kept just to the south, keeping all the heavier showers just offshore and south of Guam. So that was the good news for us. For the month of May, we finished out with just over 7 inches of rain for the month, which is above normal for the month. And our record for the day was 2.5 inches, set all the way back in 2020, last year. So back to the rip currents, the next slide. This is for east-facing reefs of Guam and the CNMI. That's inclusive of areas east of Retidium Beach along Anderson Air Force Base, all the way down to Paget, Marbo, Pago Bay, Jeff's Pirates Cove, Telefofo, and down to Inarajan. So if you're hiking Paget Caves, don't be jumping off that cliff, because those seas are still thrashing out there from the stronger winds that we've had the last several days. So that's going to be mellowing out in the days ahead. But stay out of the water along the east-facing reefs of Guam and the CNMI, at least through today, until things subside a little bit more. And again, the next slide shows if you're caught in the rip current, don't fight that current. Try to escape that current by moving parallel to the shore and wait for somebody to come rescue you, or else you break free of that current and then you swim back towards the beach. But of course, if you're in a current, that's going to carry you over the reef. So if you come back in, that means you're going to have to ride the waves in and fight that reef again. So you do not want to be out there. So when in doubt, don't go out. And so the next slide, that's the Joint Typhoon Warning Center page. We're watching Tropical Storm Choi Wan. That's our fourth warned on tropical cyclone of the year. We've had busier seasons. Think back to 2015, we had, I think, upwards of 12 or 13 storms by this point of the year. So we're looking about average right now. We'll have a tropical cyclone seasonal outlook coming up in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So I know there's been a lot of questions about if we'll be putting that out. So that'll be coming in the coming weeks. Next slide, Choi Wan. Where does that name originate from? And I want to see you out there in the audience. Type in your answers. What country does Choi Wan originate from? What does Choi Wan mean? And what is the next name of our next tropical cyclone?
Yeah,
in the
no
West
fair
Pacific
Googling,
Basin?
guys. use your intuition.
You cannot Google. So if I see correct answers, I know you Googled. So.
Okay, well,
yeah,
Landon, Chris is saying he thinks it may be a beef dish of some sort.
Well, we'll find out very shortly. I'll have that at the end of the slide with all the answers. So the next slide, that shows the polar orbiting satellite winds over the ocean. We have that 90W sitting just north of Yap. Very weak winds at the circulation center, but the stronger winds near Guam and the CNMI, that's where we have those high risk of rip currents. There's moderate 20 to 25 knot winds just south of Guam, and elsewhere 15 to 20 knot winds. That will all subside, especially the farther north you go in the CNMI, much lighter winds across the northern islands north of Saipan. And that'll continue for the rest of the week. And then we're going to see combined seas fall to between 3 and 5 feet. Tropical storm Choi Wan off near Mindanao. So I'm going to talk about the buoys. Last week we were looking at on Friday a major sea and surf event based on the models picking up on 90W near Chuk. That mellowed out. And so this is one of those examples that in the days leading up to the passage of a tropical system, the models get better information and better feel for things. So even when you're 3 days out, there could be some major differences between which model you're looking at and then what reality will ultimately become. So we were looking at on Friday, seas approaching 13 feet along eastern Guam. It really mellowed out and became around 7 to 8 feet. And so this is what we have to take in on a daily basis. This is why we monitor things 24/7 here at the Weather Service, because we want to have the most reliable, accurate information based off of forecast models and the observational data that's available in our region. So the next slide, combined seas of 5 to 7 feet today. That will be comprised primarily of an east swell. That's all going to be subsiding as we go through the next several days. So really not bad in the week ahead. And the final slide, kind of a return back to the dry trade wind season. The winds will be moderate, around 10 to 15 by midweek. They'll be subsiding, as well as the rip risk that'll be falling later this evening to moderate. And the weather forecast, not bad this week. So get out, do some yard work. If you have time, do my yard. I've been so busy for the last 6 months. I don't have grass. I have trees growing. It's a full-blown safari surrounding my house at this point. So I need help. But the next slide, do you have the answers? And are they correct?
Okay, well, so Chris was way off.
Well, Hong Kong. That's where Choyuan originates from. And what does it mean? It's a colorful cloud. And you can definitely see that in the infrared satellite imagery showing those vivid colors. But of course, we can change that with our color scale in our systems. And the next name of our next tropical cyclone, well, that comes from Japan. And I need to talk to my sister-in-law who speaks Japanese and figure out how to pronounce that.
I think that would be
system.
I think that would be Koguma.
That would be my guess.
Koguma,
and that sounds pretty good. So that's all I have for you today.
Interesting. Wow. So yeah. So Landon, you know, in years past we've had, you know, weather formations named after people. They've been objects or like things like that. How do you guys actually determine like what the schedule is for, you know, for picking names? And I know you guys kind of like work with themes like every few years, and then you had female names in the past, and then it went to like guys' names, because I remember Typhoon Jack back when I was in high school. And
yeah, back when the Joint Typhoon Warning Center had the naming rights in the West Pacific region, that's when they were stationed here on Guam. You remember my predecessor, Chip Guard, he was once the director of the Joint Typhoon Warning Center here on Guam. That's when we had names like Pamela, Bob, Omar, JTIC, they named the storms. Yeah, those are the easy ones. Yeah, but now it's a part of the World Meteorological Organization. So we're part of the UN's Typhoon Committee. And so it's a collaboration of 14 Pacific Basin countries who we meet every year through meetings and committees and conferences to discuss things all about disaster risk reduction, typhoons, research, and names. Yeah, so the group gets together and each country submits a list of 5 names. And for any storm that causes significant casualty or destruction in the land area, that name gets retired, much as it does by the National Hurricane Center of the Atlantic, and then it gets replaced by that country who owns that name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, we had the original Karen, right?
Yes. Yeah. Don't be a Karen.
I know, don't be a Karen.
In the weather context, or in, you know, the let's get aggro about everything in the world.
It's context. So interesting to me that we have like the Pong Sung Hwa, right? Isn't that a type of flower?
I believe so. I have to look that back up.
Right. Yeah.
And I forget where that comes from.
So it's almost
I think it was North Korea.
With this new naming system, the like prettier the name, the more damaging the storm is going to be. Like
dolphin.
Right.
Typhoon dolphin.
Yeah. And when you think of dolphins, you think of like, you know, nice, friendly,
intelligent creatures. And
right. Yeah. All right, Landon, appreciate your time. And I don't know if we're still looking bad by Friday. Maybe you can jump on again. We don't mind getting you twice a week.
Well, we look good for Friday, but one thing, I'll be putting this out later too. This is a public information statement. June 1st, it's a very special day for us in the world of weather on Guam. This is the start of Typhoon Preparedness Month. So join the Weather Service and Guam Homeland Security. We'll be with the governor on the Facebook page at 10:30 this morning for a proclamation signing declaring Typhoon Preparedness Month. We're going to have a lot of information coming out from our office as well as Guam Homeland Security, all about preparedness, typhoons, tropical cyclones, all the good stuff.
All right. Thank you, Landon.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
There you go, Landon Aydlett. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with John Beneventia, the Guam Power Authority, next right here on The Link. Good morning.
At Jack in the Box, I baked cheddar directly.
Family platter of fried chicken?
Check.
Tray of red rice?
Check.
Birthday cake?
Check.
1 case of water?
Check.
12-pack of beer?
Check.
2 cases of Pepsi?
Check.
When you have a long checklist but are short on time, we got you. Get it delivered by us. Order on the app or website at uno-go.